Coverage of the 109th Indianapolis 500 is brought to you by Qapital. Welcome back to a day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway where absolutely nothing of importance happened whatsoever. I'm completely lying. Everything important happened today. And if you have not already, I don't know what is the matter with you, but you should be subscribed to this channel because we have been all over coverage of the Indianapolis 500, including all of the drama, all of the excitement, the rookie pole sitter, Penske getting thrown out of qualifying, thrown to the back of the field, all of this stuff. We've been talking about it. We've been, I wouldn't say first on the scene, but I'd say we're on the first row. That's for sure. And I really think the videos have just been absolutely awesome. I just want to thank the whole team right off the bat. Kyle, Joe, Matt, Luke, you guys rock. And just so much love from the comments, from Twitter, all that stuff. Just love to see it. Just makes me very, very happy. 2-hour practice session today here on Monday at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This has been traditional since I think 2014. So over 11 years, I think probably 12 Indy 500s. That's almost unfathomable for me that 2014 was that long ago, but I guess it was. And fairly uneventful. We got a decent idea of what the race running is going to look at. You're going to hear from some drivers later on in this video, as well as I'll kind of give some of my early thoughts on what the race is going to look like. Who are some of the contenders? Who are some of the pretenders? There was one crash today. It was Christian Rasmussen, again, coming out of turn 2. Very, very similar to his crash earlier in the week. We got to speak to Christian later on after that accident, and he explained exactly what happened.
Actually, exact same situation. And I don't know. It was, I think we made a small mistake on still believing in that setup because we up till my first spin, we thought that car had been the most competitive in dirty air, and that's where we was able to follow closely and had a pretty good run going up until then. And then obviously we spun, but at that point I was on, I think, 33 lap old tires, so we were past the tire stint. So we kind of brushed it off and just kind of thought that, okay, well, it happened, not great, but probably because that we were just too deep on tires. So that's why we kept believing in that setup, which that's what we rolled out with today. But the same thing happened, even on new tires. So we've had to reevaluate what we're coming back with for Carb Day and for the race, and definitely changed our minds a little bit about that. So we'll make some changes. It seemed like Ed and Alex had a good day today and made good improvements to the car. So we'll try and adopt some of those, and then I think we'll come back with a really strong race car.
It seems like it would be a concern with a 2-hour practice to hopefully get it figured out. I mean, how much of a challenge is that going to be?
It's definitely going to be a challenge, but it's also not only down to that one practice, right? We've been here for a long time now,
Yeah.
You know. So it's not like we've just completely clean sheet and haven't learned anything all month, right? So I still have a ton of laps around here. We still have a ton of data to look back at. So we'll lean on that. Move forward. I think I'm confident in the race car. I think we'll be better than we were today. Yeah, you live and you learn.
Just like the Indy 500 isn't won in a single lap, building wealth takes strategy and the right team. With Qapital's automated savings tools, you'll navigate every turn of your money journey and race towards your goals faster. Whether you're saving for a new car, vacation, or building an emergency fund, Qapital puts money management strategies in your pocket. Download Qapital today at qapital.com/DavidLand. That's QAPITAL.com/DavidLand. And the thing that everybody wants to hear about, everybody wants to talk about, the big story of today, are the penalties that were levied at Team Penske. Now, I did a video earlier today in front of the Team Penske garage where I read IndyCar's statement. If you want a much more, I guess, detailed look at the facts of the situation as they have been presented to the media, that's the place to go. Watch the video from earlier today. But we are going to talk about this, a little bit more opinion, but we want to get the facts out first. Obviously, Team Penske was penalized yesterday. They were only not allowed to participate in the Fast 12 session yesterday of qualifying. That happened when there was a modification discovered to the rear attenuator of the race car. And the rear attenuator is a safety device. It's a crushable structure on the rear of the car where if a car backs into the wall, it crushes, hopefully prevents injury to a driver's back, which is the biggest worry you have when a car goes in backwards. The attenuator is there to prevent that sort of a thing. Because it's a safety device and not something that is on the car for a competitive purpose, that is not a part that you are allowed to modify in any way, shape, or form as an IndyCar team. Team Penske was found to have done that yesterday, and that's why they were brought to the end of the fourth row. In fact, they locked it out with Scott McLaughlin. Today, further penalties were levied against two of the Team Penske cars, those being the number 2 car of Joseph Newgarden and car number 12 of Will Power. And the penalties are as follows. Car number 2 will start in the 32nd position, and car number 12 will start 33rd. Now, the number 3 car escaped the penalties because it was discovered that at least on the car as it crashed yesterday, Scott McLaughlin did not have any modifications that were illegal to his rear attenuator. Further penalties for Team Penske. There will be no points for qualifying for the number 2 and number 12 cars, and there will be $100,000 fined to each of those teams in addition to that. Also, and this is this is probably the strongest part of the penalty, I don't think a lot of people understand, is that both the 2 and the 12 car have sacrificed their pit lane choice. They picked last, meaning they got the 2 worst pit boxes in the race. Why does that matter? Well, as you've seen in recent Indianapolis 500s, the racing is incredibly tight. More often than not, it's a big fuel-saving train. Cars don't really go laps down anymore. You can't really draw out a significant enough advantage to overcome issues in the pit lane. An issue in the pit lane is just having, in general, a bad pit box. Both the 2 and the 12 have that now. Under green flag and even yellow flag pit stops, that's going to be a massive disadvantage to them in the race, hamper them perhaps even more than the bad starting position will. Team Penske did eventually put out a statement, and it reads as follows. We accept the penalties issued today by the IndyCar Series, which are due to a body fit violation that occurred prior to the qualifying session yesterday. We are disappointed by the results and the impact it has had on our organization. We will make further announcements later in the week related to personnel for the upcoming Indianapolis 500, and that's in reference to the suspension of both of the race strategists for the number 2 and number 12, Tim Cindric and Ron Rzyński. So as the starting grid has changed, let's take another look at the revised rows of 33 cars for the Indianapolis 500, the 109th running. Of course, the front row stays the same. The incredible rookie pole sitter Robert Shwartzman, we'll talk about him later. Takuma Sato in the center, the fastest Honda, and on the outside, the Cinderella story of last year, Pato O'Ward. Scott Dixon, Felix Rosenquist, and Alex Palou on the second row. That's exactly the same as it was yesterday, as well as David Malukas, Christian Lundgaard, and Marcus Ericsson in row number 4. This is where things get different. Scott McLaughlin got to keep his original placing on the starting grid despite not running a lap in the Fast 12 yesterday. Connor Daly and Alexander Rossi move up into row 4 in the center and on the outside. You'll hear from Alexander Rossi later on in this video, but of course they did not get a chance to compete in the Fast 12 yesterday. They just get to start there. Kiffin Simpson will now roll off from the inside of row 5. Ed Carpenter in the center and Santino Ferrucci on the outside of that row. Devlin DeFrancesco moves to the inside of 6. Stingray on the center, and Christian Rasmussen, who crashed today, will start on the outside. Row number 7 is Kyle Larson, Louis Foster, and Callum Ilott. Helio Castroneves moves up 2 spots, as did everybody else in the field that was behind the 4th row. Kyle Kirkwood in the center, and Nolan Siegel, who I think might finish 11th, just a feeling, on race day on the outside. It's the H row in row 9, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Jack Harvey, and Colton Herta. That heroic story of Colton looked like Colton was starting to figure that car out. Hopefully he'll have a piece for race day. And then row 10, the Regal names, along with a second-year driver who's had 1 corner of green flag running in the Indy 500. Graham Rahal on the inside, Marco Andretti in the center, and Marcus Armstrong in that backup machine on the outside. And row number 11, this is where we really get into some interesting stuff. Rinus VeeKay, this could have been the front row last year, but now it's the back row this year. Rinus VeeKay on the inside, the only Dale Coyne machine to make the field. Joseph Newgarden in the center, and Will Power on the outside. And just for comparison, there are 6 miles per hour of speed difference between the qualifying speeds of Rinus VeeKay and Joseph Newgarden. That's the widest we have seen in many, many, many years. And we did indeed have a practice session today, and Alex Palou, surprise, surprise, was the leader of it at 226.7 miles an hour. He did 53 laps today. Second place is Helio Castroneves. While his qualifying car didn't seem all that great, the race car sure does. 226.4 for Helio. Takuma Sato, the front row starter, and the fastest Honda in the field is third fastest Honda in the field today on Monday. I think Takuma's going to have a great shot at victory. He's both times he started on the front row, or started in the first 2 rows, I should say, he's won the race. And certainly the last time he started on the front row, he won it. The Dreyer and Reinbold with Cusick Motorsports cars bring it up next. They were so focused on race running and running at the front of the pack today. Jack Harvey at 226, as well as Ryan Hunter-Reay at 225 miles an hour. He knows how to get to victory lane here. And the rookie, at least for this race, Nolan Siegel in P6, 225.7 miles per hour. And you know, I talked about it, and I'm going to give some opinions here on the Penske situation. It appears, at least, that this is not I would say this is probably, based on all of the evidence that we have, you can't 100% say that they have had this modification to the rear attenuator without a shadow of a doubt, because it was not caught in tech until yesterday. It has not become an issue until yesterday. It is an issue now, and when journalists like Marshall Pruitt are wandering into the IMS Museum and taking a look at the rear attenuator of the winning car of last year and seeing the same modification to the attenuator, it's a very difficult thing to overcome if you're Team Penske, because it would appear, based on that particular evidence, that this has been going on longer than just yesterday. Based on that, I'm going to say something a little bit harsh. I guess what we'll start with is the fact that this was a safety modification. Did this modification equal 3 miles an hour of speed? Absolutely not. Was this modification the only reason that the Team Penske cars locked out the front row last year? I would say almost absolutely not. The problem is, when you own the series, is that an honorable thing to do if you are Team Penske, to not only have this is not the first offense, this is the second offense of something like this happening. We didn't really see any permanent changes in Team Penske after St. Pete of last year. I think at the very least, Team Penske is going to need to make some major internal changes, and that's the very least. I'm pleased with the fact that IndyCar made some decisions today to further penalize the Penske team from what they were originally planning on doing yesterday. I think they should be commended for that. I think the question mark is, was this penalty severe enough, considering all that is on the line politically, behind the scenes, with engine partners, with teams, with drivers, to get the trust back there? And this is me saying this, okay? You guys know, because Doug Bowles gave a really good explanation, I thought, a logical explanation of why a 34th car, Jacob Abel, was not added to the field. I think that probably, I don't know if that should have happened. and I'm going to go a step further. I think what I would have done to really send a strong message, I probably would have thrown both of those cars out, especially if you can come up with evidence that the modifications were on the cars on Saturday, which I'm sure there is evidence if it was on there and provable. Enough people take pictures of these cars. It's got to be out there. If it is found to be true that those cars were modified, I think they should probably be thrown out of the race. And I think Jacob Abel should be added to the field. And I think if you really wanted to send a message, that's what you would do. You would start 32 cars and kind of cut your nose off if you're Team Penske or Penske Entertainment. And I hate to say it that strongly, but I think that's probably what you need to do to really bring the trust back with everybody. You need to go that far. They went far today, and I think that's super appreciated, but I'm not sure they went far enough to salvage a lot of these relationships. Very difficult stuff. We spoke to a couple of drivers today from the Ed Carpenter Racing Team. You already heard from Christian Rasmussen, but we also talked to Ed Carpenter and Alexander Rossi, and I think there's some really interesting insight in these answers.
Oh yeah, I've started way further back than this. I haven't even done anything in the past 2 cars, so.
Yeah, already.
Yeah, I think we missed a little bit at high boost, which is a little disappointing because I think the hallmark of ECR over the past decade has been their qualifying performance. And yeah, we were just a little bit out of the window balance-wise. I think the hybrid maybe had something to do with it. Very hot, fast Friday. Didn't give us a lot of good reads. So yeah, we struggled. But ultimately, if you struggle and you qualify 14th and it turns into a 12th, it's not that bad of a day. Obviously, we saw what can happen here. But the flip side of that is the race car has been really good all week in traffic and in a lot of different situations, and seems to be pretty good on tires. So cautiously optimistic about what we have on Sunday.
Looked like the field was pretty packed up. It looked pretty similar to last year, at least on the outside. From the inside, what does it feel like? What's this going to look like on Sunday?
I mean, it's going to be about the same as last year. I think it's all going to come down to the weather. I mean, we got to remember about last year why I think it was such a banger of a race is because it was so delayed. And so by the time we were at the end, it was 6 o'clock-ish, right? So the temps had come down, and these cars are so condition sensitive. So if the forecast remains true and it's, mid to high 60s, I think you'll see a phenomenal race kind of regardless of hybrid or no hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, that's bonus. I'll take every row I can get. But no, today was great. Probably the best Thursday practice I've had in a long, long time. Really feel prepared, feel confident, really happy with the car. So just can't wait for Sunday now.
As a team owner, as well as a driver, I guess we'll talk about the easy one first, the sponsorship aspect of this. It's great to see a company activating an IndyCar sponsorship. Just kind of talk about that.
Yeah, it's a breath of fresh air to our organization, and I really think it's a great thing for the entire series. The whole Splenda team and especially on the Java House side, they really get it, and it's an entrepreneurial brand that's growing fast, and it's a perfect fit with our sport and what we do, and it's great products, and it's really fun to share it with race fans and introduce it to the world.
And I guess I'll ask the hard team owner question now. As a team owner, are you happy with the penalty that was levied to Team Penske? Is that in the ballpark of what you would expect, or should it have been a little harsher?
Well, it's really hard one to answer right now still for me. I understood where they were yesterday because that's what the rule book said. So I honestly, I was kind of surprised that they did what they did today. I'm not upset about it, but I didn't necessarily think they needed to go that far just yet because they did what was in the rule book. They did. I think Doug and Rocket and the IndyCar team, I think, did a pretty good job given crazy circumstance. To me, a lot of what we've got to talk about is just more beneath the surface and kind of things that I really don't want to talk about publicly, that I just want to be respectful to other owners and the series and Roger, and have some honest conversations because we all love this sport. I don't question anyone's passion for being here, So I want those conversations to be held in a productive manner.
Let's talk a few things through about what I kind of observed today on the Monday practice session. It's hard. It's always hard. You know, I felt so confident the last 2 years that I knew who was fast, who was slow, X, Y, Z last year. And this year, this feels like one of the most wide open 500s I've seen in a very long time. The question I think everybody's going to have going into this is Robert Shwartzman legit? Is he the guy that can take the lead and stay up front in the Indianapolis 500? I was very keen to watch the 83 car throughout this practice session. Here's my observations on Shwartzman. I think he's got a car to lead the race. I think if he stays in the top 2, I think he can stay up there. The question mark is going to be if he falls further back. Is he going to be able to run in 15th? Is he going to be able to run in 20th? Is he going to be able to pass cars? Is he going to be able to stay stable in traffic? And at least what I saw today, it doesn't look like that car's very good in traffic. And that brings us to turn 1, lap 1, the start of the race. I think if Robert Shwartzman can get to turn 1 first, he might have a very good shot of staying up there, at least till the first pit stop. That's what caught out Kyle Larson, the rookie, in his rookie run last year. And I think it's probably going to catch Robert Shwartzman out. The pits, as I mentioned in the Team Penske segment, that's one of the most important keys to this race, is getting in and out of the pits, not getting penalized, not going too slow. That's the other thing. You've got to hit it, bang on the marks, get into the box, get out of the box as quickly as possible. Your crew has to do the right job. There's a lot of factors. So I think if Shwartzman can get through the first corner and the first pit stop, then we can talk about him as a potential race-winning threat. But I think the more likely scenario going into turn 1 on lap 1 is I think Sato probably takes the lead, O'Ward probably gets second, and then going down the backstretch, likely O'Ward passes Sato, and those two start leapfrogging. I guess the good thing about the start, or I guess the thing that's going to be exciting about the start and the rest of this race, is that the field is extremely mixed up. One of the most mixed up fields we've ever seen. The speed differentials between the fast cars and the slow cars and where they're starting in the race, I don't think we've really seen since the bygone days of 4 days of qualifying. So this is going to be a really exciting race, one way or another. I think some of the drivers that I would peg as drivers that I think are going to have a strong day. Pato O'Ward, I mentioned him already. I think starting from the front row after the struggles of last year, I tried to bring it up to him in the press conference yesterday. He kind of brushed it off. I understand why, race car driver mentality, but I think Pato O'Ward having just that mental feeling of, hey, I'm on the front row, I've got a really good shot, I can control this race for 200 laps. I think that's going to help Pato out a lot. Alex Palou, I mean, my God, I don't know how much else I need to say about Alex Palou, but I think he's got as good a chance as anybody to win this race. The speed's definitely been there in race running, and starting on the outside of the second row, well, it doesn't take too long to get to the front if you're up there. Takuma Sato, like I mentioned, started on the front row. The last time he won it, started in the first 6. The last 2 times he won it. This is exactly the type of race that Takuma Sato can win. And he also wins unpredictable races. You think back to that 2017 race. That was a race where, yes, the Andrettis were the best, but the Andrettis were unreliable. And he was the last one standing. And he still had to beat Helio Castroneves, who damaged his car driving underneath the flying Scott Dixon. So, and then 2020, I mean, my God, that couldn't get any more unpredictable if you wanted to, just in general for that year. And I think the Penskes are still going to be in it, whether we like it or not. There are 3 cars in this race that are just as fast as they were last year. It's Team Penske. They're going to be up there. I certainly think Scott McLaughlin's going to be up there. The other 2, it'll take them a little while, but I would not be surprised whatsoever, even with bad starting positions, bad pit sequence, all of that stuff, wouldn't be surprised. And something we haven't talked about all that much is reliability. Last year, reliability was a huge factor. Engines blowing up, plenum events, all that stuff. We haven't seen a lot of that. We did see it during the Monday practice session. I believe Scott Dixon and Stingray Robb both had a little bit of hybrid heat issues. In a season where we've worried so much about the heat factor, the heat cycles, the reliability of the hybrid unit, we haven't really talked about that all that much. You kind of hope for cool conditions if you're rooting for the hybrid. There's no doubt about it in the Indianapolis 500, because if it's hot, I think we will see some of those failures throughout the 500 miles. We've never seen a hybrid unit, at least a supercapacitor hybrid unit, go 500 miles in one sitting. The rest of the week, we don't have a history segment today. We're going to double up on it later on in the week. So apologies, don't worry. They're going to be awesome. Just you wait. But the rest of the week is going to be awesome. We've got our starting grid coming tomorrow, as well as Unverified, which is going to be, I don't know how much more we could have to talk about on Unverified to preview the Indianapolis 500, but you're probably going to want to tune in at 8 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday on the Unverified channel. And of course, so much more. I mean, there's more content coming. Many of the things that you expect, like the tier list, will be coming. And of course, on Friday, we've got Carb Day. We've got an Indy 500 preview show that we're going to be doing on Saturday. And of course, coverage of the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. You guys have made this so worth it. All of the kind comments coming in all throughout social media. We appreciate it. It motivates us. I think I will sleep in tomorrow, though. I think I'm going to enjoy that. We'll see you in the next video.